Welcome to 514 Sports with Paul Decary. Today is Tuesday, June 8th, 2021, the day after the Montreal Canadiens eliminated the Winnipeg Jets. Hey, the Habs being the last team to qualify for the playoffs this season, only clinching their spot in game 54 of 56. They became the first team to make it to the Final Four. That's impressive. Very proud of them. The Canadiens are doing awesome. Let's keep it up, boys. The sweep is complete. The Habs are halfway there. Halfway to Stanley Cup number 25. Let's just go over the series against the Jets. Game 1, we all remember, I spoke about it last week. Game 1 was that 5-3 victory in Winnipeg. Where the Jake Evans incident occurred. Pretty much, I'm going to say that's probably the turning point of the series. Mark Scheifele finally got suspended for 4 games, so I thought it was a little bit low on the spectrum for a number of games suspended. I was hoping for at least a 6-game suspension or at least the rest of the series. Well, he got the rest of the series. The Habs finished him off. He got the 4 games, and he ended up serving 3 of those 4 games against the Canadiens. So next season, Mark Scheifele will miss opening night, game number 1 of the Winnipeg Jets. So I guess a little bit of justice was served there. Jake Evans, there's no updates just yet. He suffered a concussion, so he's still out for the Canadiens. But we've got some time now between series, so hopefully he can get maybe back into the series. Back to the series. So game 2, Carey Price stands on his head, making 30 saves in a 1-0 shutout. Also in Winnipeg. Game 3 back in Montreal in front of 2,500 fans. Habs take control of the game, winning 5-1, highlighted by 2 shorthanded goals by Yoel Armia. The Canadiens actually, that's their 4th. They scored their 4th shorthanded goals of the playoffs, matching more shorthanded goals scored than power play goals allowed by the Canadiens in this playoffs, 2021 playoffs. Rather impressive. And then last night, Game 4, Habs looking for the sweep, took a 2-0 lead. Seems to be a pattern for the Canadiens, taking an early lead and then giving up the lead, then winning the game in overtime. They did it twice against Toronto in games 5 and 6, and now in Game 4 with the Jets, 2-0 lead, Jets tie it up. And early in overtime, Suzuki to Caulfield on a beautiful pass to Tyler Toffoli, and the Habs put away the Jets in 4 games straight. I learned a new term this week looking up how the Habs are doing. It's called a perfect sweep. The term refers to a sweep, a 4-game sweep, but the team never trailing in the series. So they either had the lead or were tied in the series. So the Habs have done this for quite some time. They did it for the series, so it was a perfect sweep, but it even dates back to at the end of Game 4 is the last time the Habs were losing in a playoff in a series this year. So it's games 5, 6, and 7 against Toronto, and the 4 games against Winnipeg. It's impressive. They're at 437 minutes and 53 seconds of not trailing in a hockey game right now. That's second all time. Only the 1960 Montreal Canadiens have done it for longer. I believe it's around 488 minutes. They actually had a perfect playoffs, those 1960 Habs. They won the Stanley Cup. Back then there was only 2 rounds, so they won their 8 games, 2 sweeps, and they never trailed in either of those series. That's amazing. So the Habs last night, they passed the previously second on the list were the Boston Bruins from 2013. The Habs have passed them by just about a minute or so. So let's hope that continues, and we add to that number against either the Vegas Golden Knights or the Colorado Avalanche. So back to this series. So this was the Habs' first sweep since 2014, first round against Tampa Bay. In the 2014 playoffs, the Habs, they swept the Lightning in the round 1, then they beat Boston in round 2 in 7 games, and they fell to the Rangers in the conference finals, missing out on a trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. So let's hope they can turn that fate around this year. So these playoffs, 2021 playoffs, are starting to look a little bit like the 93 playoffs. 93, that's the last time the Habs won the Cup. This is the first second round sweep for the Canadiens, so beating the Jets 4 straight. In 93, the second round, Habs took out Buffalo. Buffalo Sabres, who surprisingly swept the favored Boston Bruins in '93. So the Sabres swept the Bruins and the Habs swept the Sabres. So this year, the Jets swept the Oilers in round one and the Habs swept the Jets. So it's looking a little it's looking similar. Let's hope we can do it. This was the Habs' 23rd four-game sweep, which is obviously an NHL record. The Canadiens do have most of the NHL records. They've been the strongest team in the NHL for the past 100 or so years. Sorry, Chicago Blackhawks, under 10 Stanley Cups in 100 years. Well, nothing compares to our Habs. There are 24 Cups. So this year, 7 wins in a row. 3 against the Leafs and 4 against the Jets. That's a season high for the Canadiens. The most they managed to pull together during the regular season. On 3 different occasions, they won 3 games in a row. So winning 7 in a row now. I mean, they're bound to lose a game, but hey, maybe not. Let's keep it going against Colorado or Vegas. We'll see. Goaltending, Carey Price, looking like the Hart Trophy winner that he was about 6 or 7 years ago. Price leads the NHL right now with a .935 save percentage. If he keeps playing this way, you never know. Any stranger things have happened. So like I said earlier, the Habs are awaiting the winner of the Vegas-Colorado series right now, which is tied at 2. The reason they're going to be playing the Vegas or Colorado winner and not Tampa Bay or Boston or the Islanders, thinking because we're in the East, they're in the East. Well, this year with the 4 realigned divisions, the North, the West, the Central, and the East, there was no conferences. There's no Prince of Wales Conference matchup. There's no Campbell Conference matchup or Eastern Conference or Western Conference. So they're going by the top seeded team, which Vegas and Colorado each finished the year with 82 points. Against the lowest remaining team, which will be the Canadiens, because we did sneak into the playoffs as the 16th seed out of the 16 teams. So that's the reason why the Habs will be playing either Vegas or Colorado. And the winner of the Tampa Bay Carolina series will play the winner of the New York Islanders Boston Bruins series. So Vegas, Colorado tied 2 games each. Game 5 is tonight in Denver at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Vegas is looking great. They got schlocked the first game 7-1 against Colorado, but since then they've lost in overtime and they've won the next 2 games. So they're looking. I'd say they're the betting favorites right now to meet the Canadiens in the conference finals or the Stanley Cup semifinals. Either way, it'll be interesting. Either the Habs will play against former captain Max Pacioretty in the semifinals, or the previously known Les Nordiques de Québec, which are now moved to Colorado, so the Colorado Avalanche. It'll be fun. It'll be a great series. Finally seeing the Canadiens against an American team. We've been playing all our games this season against Canadian-based teams because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the Habs are the only Canadian team that will play any American teams this year. Let's hope they play 2 different American teams. That would mean they'd get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Really looking forward to it, but we got to wait a little bit. Game 1 won't be at least until Saturday, June 12th. That's to be announced, depending on if Colorado and Vegas go 6 or 7 games. So let's check it out. But the rest will be good for the Habs. They need it. We've got a bunch of injuries. There's always injuries in the playoffs, especially Jeff Petrie. Looks like he might have a broken pinky, which he got jammed in the photographer's hole at the Bell Center to take pictures through the glass. Freakish injury, bad luck, but he'll have at least a week between games, so hopefully it's not that bad. Unfortunately, I don't have any news on his return just yet. So let's move on to our McDavid Minute. I started this segment a couple of weeks back, 3-4 weeks back. Not much to report here. Connor McDavid's been on vacation for quite some time after he got swept by the Jets, and then the Canadiens swept the Jets. So just imagine what the Canadiens would have done to the Edmonton Oilers. No, just kidding there. No, not much to say on McDavid there. If we have any news in the coming weeks, we'll talk about him. But right now, there's just not much there. So let's move on to the other 2 series. So we've got the New York Islanders and the Boston Bruins. Islanders winning last night 5-4, taking a 3-2 series lead. Tuukka Rask, the Bruins goalie, he's been playing hurt. He's got looks like a lower back issue. He was pulled last night after 4 goals. I don't know if he'll be back in the series. Not looking very good for the Bruins. Game 6 is on Long Island Wednesday at 7:30. So the Isles have a chance to put the Bruins away in that one. In the other quarterfinal. We've got the Tampa Bay Lightning leading the Carolina Hurricanes 3-1, with Game 5 going tonight at 6:30 in Raleigh. So if you want to check that out, it's an earlier start, so it's 6:30. Nikita Kucherov leads the NHL playoffs in points with 17. Pretty impressive. Nikita Kucherov missed the entire season with an ailment of injuries, a couple of injuries, but he's doing pretty impressive there. Okay, let's move on to our non-NHL story. It's a little bit of a midweek mind bender, but not exactly. But talking about the World Hockey Championships, Team Canada. Not too many known players getting going there this year. That's not a big surprise with the pandemic. A lot of the players had a rough season, a compressed schedule, so they stayed home. They wanted to be with their families. So Canada gets out to an 0-3 start. It's the first time ever Canada has started 0-3 at the World Championships, losing the first game 2-0 to Latvia. Losing the second game to the USA. That's okay. USA's got a great team. Losing 5-1 to the States. Then losing 3-1 to Germany. I don't think they've ever lost to Germany in the World Championships, but Germany's an up-and-coming team. This is a country that was producing some pretty good hockey players, notably Leon Draisaitl with the Edmonton Oilers. So after the 0-3 start, Canada finally wakes up. Well, they played Norway. They beat Norway. Wow. They beat Kazakhstan. They beat Italy. No offense to my Italian friends, but these are not any powerhouses in hockey anyway. If we're playing them as soccer and we beat Italy, well, that'd be a different story. But okay, so the Canadian team is 3-3, going into the final round robin game against Finland. Finland was leading the group. They did okay, but they ended up losing to Finland in a shootout. So now Canada had to wait for the Germany-Latvia game, which was later on in that day. If that game would have gone to overtime, Germany and Latvia would have qualified for the medal round. So Canada was holding their breath and got lucky. Germany did win the game 2-1 in regulation. So Canada sneaks in as the fourth seed in their division, and they'd cross over to play the first place team of the other division in the quarterfinals. So they end up playing Russia. Russia's always a tough out. But Canada pulls it off. They win 2-1 in overtime on one of the nicest 3-on-3 goals I've ever seen in my life. You guys have to check it out. After listening to my podcast, go check it out on YouTube. It's one of the nicest goals you'll ever see. It was fantastic. In the semifinals, Canada plays the U.S. again, so that's a little bit of payback. Well, they beat us 5-1 in the first in the round robin. Well, Canada wins 4-2. So surprise, surprise, the team that squeaks into the medal round is now playing for the gold medal, and they're playing against Finland. Finland that beat them 3-2 in a shootout. Well, Canada gets the revenge and wins the game 3-2 in overtime. Unbelievably, after starting 0-3 in this tournament, Canada wins the gold medal. The winning overtime goal was scored by Nick Paul, assisted by Connor Brown, 2 Ottawa Senators. So the Senators have a future. They're not young kids. Well, 26, 27 years old. So why not? What a great comeback after the 3 losses. This will be one to remember. Coach Gerard Gallant, he must be proud of his boys. Speaking of Gerard Gallant, where's he going to end up next year? He's out of a job with the NHL. I'm going to say that it's either going to be the New York Rangers or the Seattle Kraken. That's my prediction right now. Gerard Gallant ending up with one of those teams starting up next season. Well, that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We got to keep it going. Let's don't stop believing, people. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you in a week, and go Habs, go.